What's up?
Man, I can't call it, man. Just 90 miles an hour right now. We're in our first day of workouts today.
Man.
I gave the kids off. We got out of school the 24th.
Okay.
Actually, the kids got out 23rd. Teachers got out 24th, and I let them off. That Memorial Weekend. We took a week off. I went to the beach with the family, and
Yep.
now we're cranked back up today. We go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday through the month of June. So I let them have a long weekend on Mondays and Fridays. I let them off to enjoy being a kid and going on vacation and stuff like that. I mean, I've been part of programs that go 4 days a week. Now July we'll go 4 days a week in July, but June we're kind of getting back acclimated, in June. A lot of conditioning and getting our legs back under us and working out and then we'll do some OTAs. We got some scheduled OTAs with some teams and got a team camp we're going to go to in July. I've got a 7-on-7 with Coach Cassie down at Chelsea, and
Yeah.
we did a spring this year. First time we've done a spring. This is my this has started my second year. I got here last April, and of course, Tarrant had I think three head coaches in 4 years.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of uh, there's a lot of kids here that they really just want stability, man. They want somebody to believe in them and that's going to sit here and stay. I was hungry for a head coaching job. I mean, this is my going into my 17th year of coaching. I've been at Pleasant Grove under Darrell LeBeau. I've had two stints there. I was under Coach Elgin at Pleasant
Oh yeah.
Grove. I was under LeBeau. I was when I was in my 20s. I was with Chip Lindsey and John Gross at Spain Park. That's actually where I started while I was a volunteer. And so had a year at Shelby County, and then I had a year at Holt High School where I didn't coach football. I was the girls' varsity basketball coach.
How about
Uh,
that?
yeah, kind of out of my wheelhouse. I mean, I played some basketball, but had never coached girls. But they needed a coach to do girls, so I said, sure, I'll do it. And actually, that I did that. I think that was 15, and then that next summer is when Coach LeBeau got hired at Pleasant Grove.
Yeah.
Brought me on over there, and of course, we had great success over there. I learned a ton under him. Um, and then I went to Chelsea. Um, uh, Not year before last, I went to Chelsea. I knew Coach Cassidy personally.
Yeah.
I worked with him in my first stint at Pleasant Grove, and I coached quarterbacks for him. And I really, people thought I was crazy for leaving Pleasant Grove because of the
Sure.
run we had been on. But I knew that for me to ever be a head coach and for me to be where I wanted to be one day, that I eventually had to branch out. And I wanted to go to the highest level of football, which was 7A at the time. Chelsea was 7A, and so we were going against the Hoovers and the Hewitts and Thompsons of the world every
Sure.
Friday, and all those guys helped me, prepare me for the job I'm in now. I owe all those guys really all the credit for
Yeah.
getting me to where I'm at, today.
Yeah. How do you feel like year one went for you at Tarrant?
Man, it. Excuse me. It went okay. The year, but so just to give you kind of a background on Tarrant, so they went COVID year forfeit. The next year they went 0 and
Yeah.
10. The next year 1 and 9. The next
Yeah.
year 2 and 8, and then last year under me we were 3 and 7. So every year there's been a very small, progression. One
Sure.
better every year. And people may say, well, that's not much. Well, to our kids, it is. You know, I I thought it went well. I only had five seniors,
Oh
so
wow.
we were really really young. I've got a group of about 15 seniors this year coming back.
Okay.
I've got nine starters back on defense, uh,
Wow.
which they played every down last year for me, and I think that's a real big deal. But I thought there was a few games out there last year that we maybe left on the table that, either, I mean, I take the blame for a couple losses, and there's a couple losses that, we were just outmanned and we weren't ready
Sure.
to play. Um,
Yeah.
but, moving up to 4A now, people kind of frowned upon it and they were like, oh man, you're in 4A now. You got to play, the big boys. And, to me, I look at it as a challenge, Gary. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not at Pleasant Grove level right now. We're not at Bibb County's level right now. You know, we're probably not even at Oak Grove's level right now, or even Fairfield. But I feel like that, the kids, as far as the culture here and the standards we've set,
Yeah.
they've changed totally. They've bought into what we're doing. I've been able to hire a staff that have all agreed to stay another year. So there's a lot of stability in the program now to
Yeah.
where prior, there was just another guy in here every year barking orders, and there wasn't a lot of standards, there wasn't a lot of stability, and there wasn't a lot of pride in, actually what we needed to do
Sure.
win football games. My kids last year they liked the thought of winning, but they didn't like the part of what it took to win. They didn't
Yeah.
know the work part of it. And
Right.
so for us, that was step one last year, was just doing small things right. Like, hey, uh, pick up your trash when it's on the ground, even if you
So,
didn't throw it down. I mean, very simple stuff, Gary, that you would think, well, everybody does that. Well, here it wasn't that way, man. I mean, it was like breaking a horse. I mean, you had to tell them
man,
over and over and over and over. And now this group, they're a lot more blue collar. And I say that by, seventh period, we've got athletics. And last year, we had to constantly herd guys, let's go, get in the weight room, get dressed, get in the weight room.
yeah.
This year, 246, they're in the weight room dressed and they're ready to go. So, I think it's not going to happen in one year. It's not going to happen in two
Right.
years. And we may never win a state title here, but the goal is to make the playoffs and to get Tarrant football back to where it was, when I played football. I mean, I played at
Yeah.
Russell in
Hmm.
2004,
Yep.
and I remember playing, I remember hearing of Tarrant then that, you buckled your chin strap when you played Tarrant.
Yeah.
And I would just like to get the program back, to where, you know, people when they say, Tarrant football, it recognizes again. I don't want it to
Yeah.
be, well, that's a win. Well, that program's down. Uh, you know,
Sure.
I just, we're trying to build pride in the program, into the kids, and even in the community. I mean, it's taken a whole team effort. And I knew it was going to be challenging coming in, but to be honest, man, I've played in state titles, I've coached in state titles, and truthfully, being here, like some of these games we win, like it's more rewarding than some of the places I've been in the past, mainly because of the challenges. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's it's rewarding to see a kid get better who in August was not good, or in July in the summer was not good. So like I said, year one in a nutshell, it was okay. I would have, I really, in my mind, I guess I had a goal of, maybe we can go 4-6 and maybe fight for a playoff spot. And people might
Sure.
say, well, 4-6, coach, that's kind of low. Well, I mean, when you went 2-8 the year before,
Yeah.
I mean, what are my expectations supposed to be? 10-0. I mean, I'm a realistic guy. I mean,
Yeah.
That's just how I am. And so I'm real optimistic about year two, and we're looking forward to it. And we'll see. We'll see how it falls. I mean, we got 5 home games this year, 5 away, where last year we only had 4 home and 6 away. So, you know, I think the kids are looking forward to that. And like I said, I think I'm gonna have to lean more on my defense a lot this year, having a lot of experience back on
Yeah.
that side of the ball. And offensively, we'll probably stay the same. I like to throw the ball a good bit. But just to be truthful, without giving out too much information, I don't know how much we'll be able to throw the ball this year. I mean, we may have to run the ball some, and lean on that defense to keep us in ball games.
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned that schedule. So y'all are up to 4A Region 4. It's kind of interesting that Pleasant Grove comes down to 4A Region 4.
Right.
So you've got a familiar school there in region with you. So
Yeah.
Region 4 consists of, I'm just going to go alphabetical: American Christian, Bibb County, Fairfield, Holt, Oak Grove, Pleasant Grove, Tarrant, and West Blockton. What do you
That's right.
what do you make of that region?
I mean, like I told you, man, I think it's, I think it's pretty tough top to bottom. I think that, obviously you got Pleasant Grove who has had great
Yeah,
success in 5A. Bibb County's had great success in 4A. Um, Fairfield, I mean, they're a 5A school, but,
yeah,
moving down, they've had success. Even you look at ACA, they've had success in the past.
sure.
I think Coach Musso at Oak Grove, I think he does a great job. I don't know a ton about Blockton. I don't know a ton about
Mhm.
Holt, just for the fact of, we've never really crossed over or anything like
Yeah,
that. And my even in my past places I've coached, I've never really had much, crossover with them. But I've already talked to Coach LeBeau, and I told him once he puts 40 on me, he better call the dogs off, man.
I got to get him on one of these. I've been talking to him, trying to get him on. By the time this comes out, maybe we will have talked.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so your non-region opponents, then you open the season hosting Montevallo. Next week, travel to Haleyville, and then wrap it up November 1st at Hamilton.
Okay, so actually,
Is
those
that
are that's the right teams, but it's at Montevallo, it
okay?
it's Haleville at Tarrant, and
Okay,
Hamilton
it's
at Tarrant.
okay. It's flipped. I got
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Montevallo, we've got a contract with them. We've had it for a couple years now. It was already here when I got here that um they take care of us to come down there and play them a non-region game. And then
Yeah.
I chose, me, I know, excuse me, I know of Bo Culver a little bit at Haleville. We have some mutual friends,
Okay.
and I was really looking for somebody that, would be a good challenge for us. I think they do a good job there, and I also wanted to find a team that, brought a good crowd and could get us a good gate.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
same way with Hamilton. I mean, being from Russellville, traditionally, we used to play Hamilton, and they always brought a good fan base, and they were always competitive. So, I tried to stay. I had some people call me and asked to play, but I just really wasn't interested in, you know, putting my kids against 5A teams or anything
Sure.
like
Yeah.
that. I either wanted to play a 4A team or, 2A, 3A, somewhere around there. And
Yeah.
uh, just, because obviously I want a chance to win the game, even though it's non-region. Um, but at the same time, I wanted it, I wanted to play somebody that wasn't going to just blow us off the field at the same, at the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah. You
So,
want to play something competitive, beneficial.
right.
It's one thing to play a certain team and see where you're at. when it's, a non-region game, but you don't want to schedule something that's so far out of your zone that you get nothing out of it and you just throw the tape away.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to go, like Montevall's not that far from us, so
Sure.
travel wise it isn't a big deal. And I wasn't interested in going, to way over in East Alabama or way down south
Yeah.
or west. So it worked out, and then Haleville and Hamilton, they were both generous enough to give me the home game the first year, and then next year we'll return it and go to them.
Yeah. No, it's a good schedule. You mentioned 15 seniors back, 9 starters on defense. Who on this roster that returns? Who are some guys that people can kind of watch for this fall that are kind of standing out?
Uh, you know, I think I think senior wise, these guys that I'm going to mention are. I mean, for me, they'll be 2 year starters, but they started before I got here. They'll be probably 3 year starters. Theola McKinstry, he plays defensive end for us, and he'll probably move in some and play some D tackle for us this year too. He's put on a little weight and some strength. Um, a real young couple young kids I got. They were both eighth graders last year. They started all 10 games for me.
Wow.
They're going to be really good. I mean, they're good now, but they're going to be really good by the time they're juniors and seniors. One of them is a Mike backer, Braxton Marcus, and the other one is he's a slot back, and he kind of plays a little bit of DB for me. Makai Galagio. Both of those guys are guys that you're going to remember probably 3 or 4 years from
Before
now.
you, wow.
Um, and then as far as this 25 class, uh, uh, Jataris Parnell, he's a 3 year starter at offensive tackle. Zoran Williams, he's a 3 year starter at guard. Jaden Watson, he's a 2 year starter at guard. And those are all seniors, and they played every snap last year. So
Wow.
up front, I've got 4 returning starters on the O line. Now I lost my quarterback; he was a senior, but I've got 2 guys right now that are battling it out. They're going to be one's going to be a sophomore, one's going to be a junior. Both of them are really really athletic. They've just never really had they've never really been taught the fundamentals from the ground up, of being a quarterback.
Yeah.
They've always been a receiver or a slot guy or a DB. So
Sure.
I'm kind of having to turn them into a quarterback, so to say. And then some other guys, DJ Martin, he's a DB for me. He'll probably get some college attention. Trying to think who else. That's 4 or 5. Um, and then my junior class, I'm really excited about the running back that I've got. I think he'll be due for a breakout year. Sanquon White, I think he'll really have a good year this year. And um, I think there's some guys in that junior class that you'll hear about in the next couple of years as well. But we're
Yeah.
overall, I mean, truthfully, overall, like we're we got 15 seniors, but I mean I still think we're pretty young in spots. I mean I've got a Mike linebacker that's a freshman, but his
Hmm.
his football IQ is of a
It's got,
junior
yeah.
senior. His dad was a really good football player, and actually Salim Rashid, you remember him, right?
Yeah.
Played at Bama.
Yeah.
His boys actually came over.
Oh,
He's got 4 sons, and they're homeschooled, and they're going to be playing with us under the Tim Tebow rule.
oh
And so,
wow.
yeah, so he reached out to me, I guess in April, and we talked about it, and I told him, I said, man, I'm 38, and so growing up, I was an Alabama fan. I said, man, I said, if they're anything like number 11 was for Bama, I said, bring them on, man. They've got the bloodline, I said, bring them on. And so they are, let's see, they are seventh grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, and 11th grade.
Oh
Um,
wow.
so they're all kind of mixed in. And I think the 11th grader and I think the ninth grader, I think they could probably help us some this year.
Okay.
This is the first year that they've kind of really played organized football. They played some flag football and they play soccer. They're really athletic. They're fast.
Yeah.
Run well. They just never really played, organized ball. But
Yeah.
so far, I mean, dude, they've got in right in with the best of the guys, and
Yeah.
have fit right in. And
Wow.
so, I was really excited when my athletic director told me. He was like, "Hey, I got a guy who's his kids are homeschooled, but they're zoned for Tarrant and they want to play football." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, who is it?" And he goes, and I don't know if he just didn't know the name or what, but he was
Yeah.
like, his name's Salim Rashid. And I said, "Hey, give him my number." I
Yeah.
said, I'm available right now, tell him to come to my office. And so it was kind of funny. And like I said, he's been good and his kids are great. And
Wow.
they'll be enrolled here through the Tim Tebow rule, they'll be enrolled here in athletics and they'll do their homeschool thing during the day and then they'll show up, during athletic period and they'll go to football practice.
Man, it sounds like you've got a really good nucleus of players. Like you mentioned, not wanting to give away too much, obviously scheme wise and what you guys might do. You like to throw the ball, but you've got a quarterback battle. But I mean, you've got a potential breakout type running back running behind four returning offensive linemen. I mean,
Yeah.
you go where the strengths are. It sounds like y'all got a lot to look forward to this fall.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, and it kills me because I grew up in the lead chair, man. Perry Swindle coached me. I grew up throwing the ball all over the park, so it's hard for me to run the ball. I mean, I have to tell myself to run the ball, and so uh, it may be boring this year, but there may be some Buddy Anderson type games. I mean, to be honest, there may be
Some
some
buddy ball.
yeah, there may be some 10-7, 14-7 games that, if it's a win, I'll take it. But not only do I have the junior running back, but there's really three guys that all should get carries and be able to stay fresh. And another guy I
Wow.
forgot about, a senior, Eric Lowe. He's going to play outside linebacker, kind of an edge for us and he's probably going to play some running back for us too. He's the
Okay.
fastest guy on the team as far as
Wow.
1 to 80. Sanquon White, he's the
Mm.
fastest guy 1 to 10 yards. He's
Burst.
quick and
Yeah.
got a good burst. And Eric is a long distance home run hitter guy. But I think
Wow.
Eric next level. Miles came through here a couple weeks ago during spring, and I think he's probably going to be next level, a linebacker or a safety, just because of his height. I mean, he's a good 6'1", 6'2", and 180 pounds, and he's getting stronger every day, and he can run. So I think he's got a chance to play college ball. The main thing here, man, our kids, they see, I'm really good friends with Coach Warren at Parker and of course
Mhm.
Coach LeBeau and they see these kids, signing,
Yeah.
football scholarships and they're like, why can't we sign a scholarship? Why can't we do this, coach? And why can't we do that? And I just point blank tell them like those guys at Parker, those guys at Pleasant Grove, they work, man. Like they're coming in,
Yeah.
they're working while you guys are
Right.
home playing video games or whatever they're staying after and working, and if you don't put the work and the commitment into it,
So,
it's not given to you anymore, especially now with the transfer portal. The JUCO ball stuff is like non-existent now.
yeah.
So I mean, you really have to separate yourself from other guys to be able to get that opportunity to play college ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I try to preach that to my guys of, you got to do the right thing when no one's watching. You got to do, you got to yourself with high character, on and off the field. You got to represent this community when you're out in the community, and just hold Tarrant up to a standard to where we're trying to get you to hold it to.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and and I think slowly, Gary, that it's going to get there. People just, people think, hey, year one, you should win this amount of games. I mean, Nick Saban didn't do that. It just takes
No,
time, I mean, it
it
just takes
does.
time to build a program. And we're getting more and more young kids coming out, and that's a good thing. Right now we're probably sitting at I don't know, I'm looking in the weight room. There's probably 44 guys here, and I think 3 guys are going at basketball play dates today. So we're anywhere from 40 to 50, which I
Okay.
think is a solid number for a 4A school.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, consistency and stability. I mean, you mentioned needing stability and they
That's
get
it.
that and that's a huge foundation thing. You mentioned Coach Saban. I was my last year, let's see, my junior year, I guess it was sophomore junior year was that '07 season. So
Yeah,
I was at that La Monroe game and I was
right.
one of the dozens of students who stayed for the whole thing and was
Yeah,
like, this is the guy that Mal Moore camped out in the driveway in Miami for that
yeah. I
and
remember it.
then like a year later, I was getting into I was learning how to do all this stuff. And so like a
Right.
year later I'm covering games and I'm like, whoa, like just that jump even year one to year two.
The
And then
change.
they
Yeah.
they go to the Sugar against Utah and you're like, this is different, like this
Yeah.
is different.
Right.
But yeah, it just shows you what a change. I guess the cliche now is a change of culture, a change of mindset,
Right.
different values and that kind of thing, what it can do. So, and I mean it's not like
Yeah.
I'm looking over here at another screen. I mean it's not like, I mean Tarrant has a pretty quality history. I mean,
Right.
I
They do.
remember when I was in college. I went to college with Marquise Mays.
Yeah.
I covered him. He talked about Tarrant a lot.
You had
Um,
Mario Addison,
Mario
who's a Pro
Addison,
Bowler. I mean,
unbelievable. And I mean, I'm
right.
looking at this like, I mean, and they've kind of bounced 4-3, 2A, all this. And I mean,
Right.
the last time, let me make sure I'm not wrong. Let's see. 2006 team. That was a 4A Tarrant school that went 11-1.
Right.
Scored 452 points in
I
12
know.
games.
And I mean,
It's
that's not
there.
that long ago, when you think
No,
about it.
it's really
Um,
not.
and to kind of piggyback off the Nick Saban thing, I think it took Saban, that UL Monroe year, his first year, I think it took him a year to kind of get that, those guys that were doing it their way. It took
Yep.
him a year to get, those guys out
Oh yeah.
and get them do it his way. And that's kind of the
Yep.
same thing here. Uh, you know, there's been so many coaches in and out of here, head coaches, head coach wise, that
Yep.
they don't know a way. And so once you give them stability and they know, hey, this is the way we've done things, because Coach Stockton's been here for 2 years now, 3 years now, they know what to expect, and it flows easier, man. It just
So,
it makes your job easier because they know what to expect. My last year when I got here, I I had guys looking at me like, we're going to work out in the summer. Like, yeah, we're going to work out in the summer.
yeah.
Um, they had never, coach, not to call you coach, I'm sorry. That's a habit. But so when I got here in April of last year, the head coach that was here before me, he had already left, I think, like in December or January. So the football athletes, they sat in the gym from January, February, March,
Oh
April.
wow.
They didn't work out. They didn't have off season weight program or anything.
Mm.
And so the first thing I did when I got here, April of last year, was I called a buddy of mine that I coached at Pleasant Grove, Coach Arrington, and I was like, "Hey man, he's real big into strength and condition and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I said, hey, do you want to come over here and be my strength conditioning coach? I said, these kids haven't worked out. They need to be in the weight room. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And so it was just me and him. I mean,
Wow.
we started a weight program and got the kids down here. And then when the summer came, the problem that everybody kept telling me is they were like, Coach, you're not going to have but 10 guys, 10 or 12 guys show up for workouts because they're not going to have rides unless the most guys are going to have workout is going to be when your coaches go out and pick them up.
Yeah.
And so what I did is I used my resources and found out that we have summer school here. And so what I did is I asked them, I said, hey, uh, summer school starts at 8. That bus has to bring, the kids here. But that bus also has to come back at 1, to pick up the kids for dismissal.
Yeah.
How hard would it be for that bus driver to leave, 30 minutes early and pick my kids up at one stop at the intermediate school in downtown
Wow.
Tarrant and bring them here to campus because they got to come here anyways to pick up the summer school kids.
That's right.
But worked out.
Wow.
Last year, I never had less than 40 kids here all summer.
That's awesome.
And so, just using resources and small things like that, and being creative with kind of how we do things. That, to me, that's kind of, it's, I don't call it a success, but that's how we've been successful so far of
Sure.
getting guys to buy in and getting guys to kind of the idea of, hey, it's cool to play football. It's okay to play football. They're not bad. They're getting better or, whatever it
That's
may
it.
be. And so, like I said, I'm looking forward to it. I'm happy to be here. Our administration's great here. I mean, they back me 100%, and they're always there, to do whatever I need them to do. And I got a great staff too. I mean, Coach Applin, my defense coordinator, I had a stint with him at Pleasant Grove. He's like a mentor to me. He kind of keeps me in line when I mess up, and then I got a lot of young guys, that are hungry to kind of get their hands in there and get dirty and so I'm overall looking forward to it, and who knows, maybe we can fight for a playoff spot this year.
That sounds good. I'll be looking forward to it. Be looking forward to some 4A and see Tarrant keep, like you said, keep doing that. So
Yeah,
I
man.
uh I really appreciate you doing this, Coach. It was good to learn a bit more about Tarrant, one of those schools that I don't really get to cover. So this
Yeah.
was cool. I really appreciate you doing it.
Well, hey, I appreciate you having me on, invite me on, and like I said, man, you got a free entry anytime you want, man. Come by, visit us. Whether that be summer, fall, whatever. You
Yeah,
got my number. Reach out to me and come check us out. And I appreciate it.
absolutely. Thank you, Coach.
All right, I'll see you. Have a good one, Gary. Thanks,
You
buddy.
too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.